Hello, everybody. I believe we are live now. Welcome to Modest3D's webinar. Hopefully, today we're going to try to cover a few things. Ideally, I would love to show you guys the software, Modest3D Xplorer, show you a created environment that we've already created, and together we'll experience it, and then we can move on to showing you the actual software and how we created that environment to show you really how quickly you can create these meetings or these environments to share and join your teams with. So with that being said, I would like to take you to this screen here just to sorry, let me just jump into Explorer. And just so everybody knows, we have one of our colleagues, Hamza. He's going to be monitoring the chat, the live chat. So if you have any questions, please, we want the chat room to act like a live community. So feel free to ask any questions you have. Odds are, if you have a question, someone else is already thinking about the same thing. So let's keep the chat going and let's share ideas together. From here, this is our Explorer software. I'm just gonna jump right into it. Give you a little quick information about the UI. On your left, of course, you have your home button. Beneath it, you have your create room. This gives you option to create single environments or multiplayer if you in case want to invite your team members for collaboration. Of course, your any notifications about you being invited to a room or a session will pop up here in your notification bin. Settings is just self-explanatory. This is where you would go to set your server location to make sure your team is all synced with the right team members. So from here, I'm just going to jump into one environment. So notice how it tells me check for VR. This is something that's very important about software. It's cross-platform agnostic. So our system is smart enough to identify if you are a VR user or a PC user, if you're a mobile user, Android or iOS, it doesn't really matter. We don't care what type of hardware or what type of operating system you have. We just want people to log on and reconnect with their colleagues and their team members. Takes a minute to load. So a couple of use cases that these environments are great for are, of course, training across the world, nationwide or even internationally, marketing for marketing teams, and of course sales to continue their sales meetings. So this is our trade show, or our equivalent of a trade show, of course. Any company can be added here, whether it's primes or government organizations, to experience this environment. From here, quickly, we can identify business cards to have team members to share to each other, or brochures, documents, it doesn't really matter. Anything that's textual, we can show here. Of course, from there, we can jump into any questions that are asked. So in this case here, somebody's asking what company are you with, Modest3. You can have scripted questions already inside for you. Videos, it's just as easy. Import a video and play a video about your product, whatever the product may be, in case maybe the product's too big, too expensive, or just not physically possible to move from place to place. And of course, with today's climate, we see that collaborating online, of course, is going to be more important than ever. Now these will come into play right here on my right menu. You will see that I have a bunch of different tools. They will come to play in the second environment. And the best thing about this is we found a way to be able to join environment to environment. So you bring your entire team on board into this world here, whether it's a trade show floor, and then let's say you have a private meeting. Now you want to discuss business. So this is where you would navigate. If you're on VR, of course, you would teleport step by step. If you're a PC user like I am, I would just use my WASD and navigate through like a first person, mobile devices. If anybody actually has the software right now, towards the end, we can do a live demo where I can invite people from our current list right now that are joining and the live stream and have them experience, and we can communicate inside the environment instead of just showing it to you by myself here. Now, of course, we can go up to the auditorium, and this is where we take you to your private rooms. Now, we are putting functionality in where the leader would interact directly with the door, and that door will launch a secondary lesson. And this lesson here being, of course, we're going to jump right to the auditorium for a private meeting. Now that you went throughout the whole trade show floor, You've seen you know reconnected with your colleagues. You met with the prime or the government or the organization or the person at the show that you want to, and now you would jump to a private room for you guys to continue more private discussions. So you'd see that we built this environment to replicate, of course, an auditorium. On my left-hand menu here, you'll see that I have slides already pre-made. Now, it took us longer to gather this data, the images, the models, and come up with an environment than it did actually to create the presentation. The presentation only took the span of maybe 48 minutes from beginning to end. So it's quite a powerful tool to operate. And good thing about this environment, of course, is you can invite all your team members that you had in the previous lesson or in the previous scene to you in this environment here. Now, on my menu here to my left, you're going to see the actual slides that we pre-made, and I'm going to start rolling through them now one by one. And on the right far side, you see the tool menu. This is where we're going to actually get to really use in this environment because it's very important here and it's quite powerful. So to start off the presentation, by just clicking next, I would change the focus of the presentation from slide to slide. So the idea is we want to be able to replicate all the power of a meeting into a virtual world, whether it's presentation slide by slide, by just simply clicking next, all the way to playing a video and inside this environment. Now we can populate an actual 3D model, and this is where the real power comes in with an Explorer. If you're looking for a tool to just simply communicate by video, there's a lot of great products in the market. Our tool is really focused around the personnel and the government entities and the groups in general that have access to these type of capabilities. So in this case here, a manufacturer of this specific engine could have a presentation virtually, bring everybody in, and of course, because it is not a photo, it's actually a 3D model, they can fully rotate around it to see every single component. Now we get into the really fancy tool part, is right here. Let me just get in the right position. So in our menu from the top to bottom, of course, interact gives me the ability to interact with my environment, simply rotating, changing the camera position. Grab is self-explanatory. If I click this, I can grab pieces off the model and start tearing it apart piece by piece to investigate it further. And there's no real limit to how far or how deep I can go in the pieces. Of course, I can give you these nice screenshots and cut scenes that you cannot do in the real world to really see how systems work. Moving on from this, I just simply reset my scene. Again, the best thing about a tool like this is you can tear apart a system piece by piece, bolt by bolt, and as long as you hit the reset slide, it will take you back to its functioning order. Now here I can take you to my draw shape. So simply select any object that you have interest in, and you'll be able to draw arrows into pointing out and highlighting certain features about it. And this way you'll be able to point to maybe multiple members in the room in case you have a cross-platform or a multiplayer environment to invite other users in the environment with you. And of course, draw on screen, simply self-explanatory. I can draw on screen in direction I want to explain further about pieces. In case I have a question about a component, simply get closer to it, select it, highlight it so your team members can see what you're looking at, and go from there. Beacon and group teleport are really features that we can see in the end if we do a live presentation to interact with my team members. So in case I want to bring my team's attention to a specific area, or I want to physically teleport my team members here. Now the next slide has an expand functionality. Now the really cool part about this is that we didn't do this the traditional way where we separated the model ourselves and took it apart. There's actually a smart expand algorithm inside the Explorer that simply you just give it the model that you want to expand and determine by how much you want to expand it. To really give that wow feature, to really give that expansion view or explosion view, to capture the imagination of what is possible. Now inside 3D, this is great to look at. In augmented reality, it's amazing to look at, and in virtual reality, it's absolutely impressive. So the best thing about this is because we develop, because Explorer has the ability to export to VR, AR, PC, mobile devices, tablets, all in the same development methodology, This gives you the power to not have to worry about what hardware you have, just simply log on and enjoy the environment. And of course, within these environments, we have audio communication back and forth. So your team members, doesn't matter where they are in the world, they can all be inside the same room and communicate with each other back and forth to discuss ideas, business, doesn't matter. Any communication can be done, of course, in here. Now, next slide is simply more presentations on the wall to give you an overview of how products work. And then from here, the good thing about it, let's say we went to the trade show, we had our meetings, everything went great. We went to the private auditorium, you had your private conversations, discussions, and maybe now you want to really push your client to the next level, give them maybe a site tour of your facility. Well, here's the really cool part about this. Explorer has the ability to natively import 360 images or 360 videos. Simply what that means for your end result is, once this environment loads, there's an example of a 360 image where it's stationary, but pretty soon now you're going to see it's going to transform to a video, and now you have a 360 video shot that is streamed inside your environment. So from this environment now, I'd like to show you the actual development of this type of solution, where we're going to jump into the Explorer editing platform. Now, it's really important to know that the editing platform is actually free to use fully. So anybody that wants to log on, download the Explorer and start developing and start seeing ideas of what they can create with it, feel free to do so. It's 100% free to use and operate. Now, of course, for the next 3 months, we're going to be offering our player version, which has the multiplayer and cross-platform ability to bring people together. We're going to be offering it for an extended use for 3 months for absolutely free for anyone to use. After this, of course, we can work with different teams to find out exactly what the use cases are for them, that work for them, to help give them a specific model. And of course, a good use case for using these 360 videos is, of course, for trade missions. A lot of from today's climate, a lot of people are canceling a lot of travel, a lot of trade shows, a lot of events, and there's a lot of missed opportunities. But we're trying to get the cycle back on track. We don't want anybody to miss on an opportunity where technology can really help find a way to elaborate these conversations. So without having to travel to different countries to check out their facilities, these can be replicated in our software and shared global audience in relatively quick time. And of course, from here, let's say you had your conversations, you check this environment out, and of course, seamlessly, I can jump back to my trade show to meet with other clients, meet with other potential, or have more discussions and keep the cycle moving. So you go from the trade show where you see all the different users and their different product lines, all the different everything, different groups, different teams, and by clicking onto their booth or going into their environment, this would launch the auditorium for private meetings and more in-depth meetings, and of course then launching to your 360 environments to bring the whole circle back together, and almost like you traveled to their location without having to travel to their location. And now we'll jump into the portal, where we're going to launch Modest3D Xplorer editor version to actually show you quickly how these environments take shape and take place with, I dare say, minimal effort. Now again, it's very important to know that I am not a programmer at all. I'm just playing one on TV. So I'll jump into the auditorium and edit the lesson. So this loads relatively quickly. Now I have my environment in here. Let me just expand this view. So let me just adjust my UI really quick. So to just give you a quick edit here so I can track or use my environment a little bit better. um, my ribbon. There we go. So let's just do a quick overview of the actual tool. So you'll notice that the UI is similar to certain products that we had before. It's slide based, so think about it this way. The 3D model is already imported into your environment. And now we're just saving different states or different positions of where they are, whether it's a location of a different environment, whether you updated images and videos for that specific slide. So because it's slide based, everything we create is always on the slide. Now the really cool part about it is, remember I said if you create this, it's the same methodology to creation, but you can export to VR, AR, or computer. So in this case here, let me just do some housekeeping here. These are the slides you've seen in the presentation, the one we did live. Let me just delete some of these slides. Bear with me, I apologize. We should come up with a delete all button. So starting from our first slide. So the environment, notice how the 3D model is currently hidden. It's because in our menu here, we have it hidden. So let's just jump into the UI. In the top left menu, starting from your file, you have your standard, new, open, save, and save as, and of course import. This is one method to bring your 3D environment, your images, your videos, your folder packages into Explorer. Simply hit import and then import your asset, whether it's a singular 3D file, whether it's an imported folder that has 3D information, images, videos, or it's a Unity project scene. A lot of our developers come from the Unity environment or Unity development environment, and they already have scenes there, whole project files. So we're not saying throw that away. We're saying natively that can be exported into Explorer and re-leverage that environment to give it new life, to have now multiplayer and cross-platform abilities, and be able to create your environment yourself. Again, remember, this tool is not created for programmers. It's meant for sales teams, for marketing teams, for subject matter experts, for the people that know their craft, know their trade, and don't want to slow down for the tech to be done for them. They can just do it themselves, take the initiative. Settings, of course, self-explanatory for any software. You would go in and change the parameters to use the tool to your best ability. For example, camera, toggle on use or advanced camera. If I use the regular camera, it gives me the ability to only use my mouse for panning and rotating. If I click the advanced, it will give me the ability to use my WASD keys to navigate the environment in first person type motion. Now, to move right on, we have our redo, our undo button. These are lifesaver. Of course, the camera, I can navigate here, basic or advanced. New slide, reset slide, delete, or duplicate. These are very common to what we just see in a PowerPoint, where you would create a new state, reset state, delete a state, or duplicate. We'll get more into this once we start creating. Of course, here you have your standard, your hide all but the selected object, your isolate, so your toggle visibility of selected objects, and your focus button. And of course, here you have some functionality to help give you the features you want. And we'll get more into them on the fly right now as we create. So I create a new slide, give it a name. Goes back to its default position, and it resets the model to have its default position. Now, once I'm inside the model, let's say I want to interact with this object here. To create a slide to a slide transition, it's very simple. Focus on your slide, duplicate, and call this one slide 2. And now from the first one to the second one, I could grab a piece and move it forward. And simply now, from 1 to 1, I create the illusion of a transition or a model animation. Now again, I could have it that I'm not doing animation, I want to do an X-ray. So in this case here, simply, let me just reset this guy. Maybe X-ray this guy right here. So now from one model to one model, or from a state to a state, I have an animation and an X-ray on the spot. Let's say I want to use a 3D label to bring attention or identify a certain piece. Bring it up higher. And in the properties menu, I can change the size of it. And I can of course change the name as I see fit, because maybe your technical team wants to show certain pieces, but your marketing sales team has a different approach, or they want to highlight certain pieces, so you can change it, the name on the fly. So to help you create an environment relatively quickly. So to go further into the creation process of how to use Explorer, we're going to be running another webinar today at 1 o'clock, and we're going to be repeating this for the next few weeks. And the idea is we'll go more in depth into creating this. Now, just something really quickly here. If I wanted to put an image or a video implemented into this wall, all I'd have to do is just go into my menu, into my assets, find the image that I have from my folder, drag and drop my image into my video or image display, and as simple as this, I can start creating presentation material for my 3D or VR environment. Now from here, I'd like to take you guys to a multiplayer session. We're going to invite some users that have accounts registered currently from the stream live. We should be able to experience all of us together and see the environment with users currently online. And please feel free to use the chat to give us your feedback about what you've seen, any questions you have, or even about what you're experiencing in that 3D environment for the multiplayer. Let me just close off here. So for any users that are currently on the stream that want to join us in a multiplayer session, please go to this screen right here. Let me just put it up. Register and let us know in the text in the chat room live that you want to join the stream now, and we'll get our guys to expedite the process of getting your approval. And this way we can join within the next 5 to 10 minutes, have our live session together. So feel free to log on, and in the meantime, I'm going to start populating the room. If you want to go on, go to app.modest3d.com to register. Register for Explorer, and we can launch a name. Of course, we need your full name, email, enter your password, confirm you're not a robot, agree to join. Okay, so now that we have that set, we're going to jump into a multiplayer session right now, and we'll invite some of our colleagues and some of the users online. Feel free to still go through the registration process, and if you registered in time, we'll be able to jump in together. I'll send you guys an invite. So right now I'm launching Explorer, multiplayer room, XR trade show, pick the trade show floor, and there's a list of my colleagues and people that currently are registered. I just got a message from Arthur and Trevor. that they registered. And right now, let me just do a quick update here so I can invite them to our session. So you guys will see this live right now happen and how quickly we can bring fresh or brand new users together in this environment. So right now, we're going to give them ability to share this room with us by sharing a common space with them. So right now, you're going to see me put share, plug in their name, see if I can find the registered user. There it is, Arthur and Trevor. Okay, and now that we have the users invited, change the ability to read only. I don't want nobody changing my presentation. No offense, guys. Nothing personal, I promise. Of course, the demo gods always like to smile favor on us. Let me do this again. Read only. Send. Arthur. There's Mr. Arthur. Wait, that's the wrong one. Let's travel badly. Sorry about that. I'll go Arthur. There it is. And I believe there's one more user that requested. A Mr. Mark. And confirm. So any user now should have access to it, but once I create the room and send an invite, then you should see a notification. It's important also that you download that trade show lesson, the XR trade show. Yeah. There's Mark, Trevor, and Arthur. Great, so now we are launching. If all works great, we should see the environment load with a bunch of different users resembling little drones. Don't freak out if you see yourself as a drone. It's part of the digital process. Now, some of the users that did not download the room yet, they're going to get an invite or notification. And then from there, you need to download the XR Trade Show room. Now, I'm here by myself, but we will wait. I'm sure the team's going to show up any minute now. So hopefully the feedback is so far positive. And again, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We highly encourage this. We want this to be a community, and we share knowledge back and forth. So there's our first user, a Mr. Johan. Hello, sir. Welcome to our digital slash virtual trade show. See, I'm sure as another user, a Mr. Demo 1. Yeah, so I'm just gonna mute myself, so this way, because of course we're running a stream, and you're gonna be hearing my microphone slash me inside the digital environment, we're gonna get a whole bunch of echo. So to eliminate this, I just quickly muted myself and the team so we can be in here together. So we'll wait for the other users to join. Some of you might be downloading right now as I speak. Feel free to do so. We'll be in here for a bit anyways, that we can restart it again. And feel free to join us again if you want to experiment more at 1 o'clock today. We'll be running another invite, another session to go more in depth into editor, and we'll have a chance to play with multiplayer environment and get in there a little further. So now we have another user. Mr. Gary. Hello, Gary. How are you doing, sir? So far we have 3 users in here. Now, of course, because from what I see, they're either logging in with their PC or their mobile device, because I see them as a little drone. Now, of course, this avatar can be changed, and the plan is to change for something a little more professional and business and customizable. So, in case you want to come in with a black suit or a whatever the avatar you want, I'm sure the Hulk and all the superheroes are already going to be locked up early. You have to pay extra if you want to use the Iron Man or something cool as an avatar. So now, as we present, so here, remember that tool I told you about that it's good to use as groups? Let's say I want to bring the group's attention to here. So these are really going to come into play now once our group is fully in the environment. Now notice how some of our users are going to go down there, check out different booths. Some over here, check out, there's Gary, being a veteran, checking out the whole scope from the bird eye view, seeing who he knows. Oh, we have a new user, Mr. Stefan. Hello, sir. How are you doing? So it's customary in digital world to nod up and down. Hello, sir. How are you doing? This is the Akuma of the Wave. Now we are for virtual reality users. We're going to have avatars where you also see their body and their hands. So theoretically, we can high five each other, shake hands, and you'll see a little bit of the animation in the body. So they get more functionality. Now, while you're all here, I'll introduce all of you to myself by giving you my business card. Awesome. So we have another user now that just joined in. I believe Arthur and Mark are still in the process of downloading. So let me see if I can introduce you guys to myself. Here we go. Very nice to meet you all. Business card. I know I don't look the same. I'm a lot more good looking in my business card than I am in person. I apologize. So I can also give you guys my questions list. Oh, we have a new user that just jumped in. And of course I can give you videos about the product. Hello, Mr. Mark. And Mr. Trevor. How you guys doing? So it's customary in the digital world to nod. So to use the controllers, guys, if you're using mobile devices, you'll have two controllers, two thumb controllers. The left one, I believe, is your movement, and your right is your rotation. So anybody familiar with using, any young person playing video games would get this environment really quickly. It'll be very easy, and it'll be pretty self-explanatory. For you other users, please feel free to use the joysticks to navigate around the environment. It takes a little while to get used to, but once you get used to it, you're good to go. And on the live, we're actually adding more people to the group right now. We're actually inviting them as we're already inside the lesson. So notice how we don't have to leave the environment. We can just add people on the fly to populate our environment. Now, currently, the only limitation to how many people you can have here really is only in the power of your server and how many people you want to support. So we've already had test runs of 10, 15, and plus users. We're pushing it to 60 some users, and in some cases a couple of hundred, if you're doing it the right way, which we can definitely navigate that option. So now that we have everybody here in the group, let's say I want to bring everybody's attention to one environment because I'm doing a special presentation. Okay, I believe we're still waiting for Mr. Arthur before I can start, and Timothy, Mr. Timothy from GE. I'm getting the update live. So I like how everybody's already in there flying around. Feel free to nod at each other, say hi. So the idea down the road is we'll have the ability to have to speak with each other through audio. So I'm gonna just unmute everybody's mic here, and you guys will be able to communicate with each other and hear each other in this environment. So feel free to say hello. So we are muting everybody right now again. This is something that we noticed when you bring large group of people together. The echo back and forth from the digital of the audio is quite extensive. So what we're doing is actually we're putting a feature for a push to speak button. This is going to cut down on all the noise traffic and the waveability. So you'll be able to wave to each other, to handshake. And of course, in your menu here, you guys should all have this highlight feature, the laser pointer. If you click on any object that, there you go, you start seeing the floor is highlighted. So the idea is you'll be able to click on objects, highlight them, and then discuss them with someone that you're highlighting the object to. So let me see if we have our whole group here yet. So in my lobby, here's all the current people. And here's the ones that have been banned. So right now that I have everybody's attention here, I want to bring everybody's attention to this really cool technology presented to you by everybody, if you can just release your controllers, and I'm gonna teleport you all to upstairs. There you go. Welcome everybody. And notice how now I can take you guys all with me from the trade show into our private room. So I'm just going to launch my lesson, go into my auditorium, and everybody should be having a login or a load screen right now. And if this goes well, I should see you on the other side. So let's see here. I see people showing up. Now I can take you guys all with me from the trade show into our private room. So I'm just going to launch. Welcome everybody to the auditorium. I see Johan. I see Gary, Timothy, Mark. There you go. I see Trevor. Confirm we didn't lose anybody. All right. So right now that I believe we're all here. Oh, I didn't. So now I can actually switch the slides around just like we did before, but now you're all joining me for this environment, so it's not just by myself anymore. So we should all see a video start playing. And of course I can line you guys all up here if I wanted to get everybody seated. Perfect. So I could be here giving you guys a presentation on the podium. Hello everybody. Today's meeting is about this engine. Feel free to come closer and check it out. And if you have any questions about any component, feel free to use your highlighter or your laser pointer to highlight any component. Of course, the expand view for your entertainment. And here I can expand it even more to really show you the breakdown of the pieces. Now of course I could start also, like we said earlier, I can start selecting piece. Hey, can everybody see this guy right here? This component support. Oh, this is very interesting. What did you point to here, Mr. Johan? Yeah, this is the outside shell. Not gonna lie to you, I'm not a aviation tech guy, so I'm not sure. But as you see, I can say anybody that has information about this component, please let me know. What does this thing do? Does this piece here need lubrication? And so on. Of course, I can grab pieces, so I can rip systems apart for you guys. So let's say I want to remove this piece, remove this guy. I can do it manually by simply clicking and dragging away. Now the really interesting part here is, the really cool part is, let's say there's two presenters in this room, me and my colleague. Well, maybe I want to give my colleague the ability to present. So all I would have to do here is just simply go into my menu, in the lobby. You see where it says presenter? Currently it's under me. I can go to Gary, to Johan, to anybody in this room and pass them the presenter ability to have them lead the presentation. So in case you have a dual presenter, where maybe this is even a collaboration of different teams across the world and they want to get together and everybody wants to give their own input, and they have presentations already lined up and built, simply just update your presentation together and run from one user to one user by passing the presenter authority to the next user.
The high and low pressure turbines, in which the pressure of the hot gas
And now from here, let's all jump together to the 360 environment. Everybody should get a loading screen, and if it works correctly, we will be on the launching pad on a brand new vessel. This is our loading screen. I already see some users jumped through: Trevor, Timothy, Mark. And now we are inside the 360 video environment of a boat launch. Now, of course, this could be any type of environment. It could be a walkthrough of a facility. Doesn't matter how large. Simply just take a bunch of recordings of 360 images or videos and upload them natively into Explorer to present it to a nation or to a global audience. So I understand that there are some questions in the chat live that are happening, and we'd like to take the opportunity to actually answer them live for you in the auditorium. So once we got our fill, so if you have any questions, please feel free to bombard right now. Ask as many as you can, and we're going to go through them all together, and we'll answer them live one by one in the auditorium. So once we get our fill from this room, feel free to check it out, look around you and see what you can check out here. From here now, I'm going to jump us back into the auditorium for us to have our final discussions and answer your guys' questions. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So we'll just wait a minute till everybody repopulates into this room. Perfect. And now we can get into some of the questions that were asked. First question is from Mr. Trevor. What is the platform's data security policy? All data is on a Canadian server. We are working on a TISAX, and also our communication is running on a matrix for end-to-end encryption. User Mark, can you easily bring in SolidWorks models? The reply to this is, depending on the file format, our pipeline server will convert to FBX and import to Explorer. We can take .cad, .stp, .jt, etc. Other CAD or engineering focused formats can be imported. And the cool thing about the pipeline we're working on it to make it automated. So you would just dump in your CAD data or engineering data in one side of the pipeline, and the other side it will kick out the model that's used in this environment without you having to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Arthur, is there a specific format the assets need to be in to import? FBX is best, but our pipeline can convert it from most functional formats. 3D focused formats can be converted relatively easy, as most of our clients are OEMs, and we have seen many of their different CAD files and CAD formats. So from the main formats, FBX, OBJ, of course, and asset scenes can be brought in quite easily and quite natively. If you have any more questions, are we good to go? Of course, please feel free to reach out to us on all our social media platforms, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, if you have any questions, or directly message us on LinkedIn. All our information out there for communication is out there, so feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, or if you want to reset another webinar for your specific team, closed webinar, we're absolutely available for this. And in the 1 o'clock webinar in a couple of hours, we're going to be going more in depth into the creation of these presentations. So you're going to get a more step-by-step presentation focused around how to create and explore these presentations, and really going to get into the nitty-gritty of setting up slides, setting up models, setting up the functionality for the different models. And hopefully, if you have time, join us. We'd love to see you. And from our end here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us your time, and happy quarantining.